Alright, we're here with Alexie again, continuing her work on her tail. And what are we doing today?
We are filling in the rest of the fluke. Getting everything ready to do a texture on it so we can mold it. Yay!
Alright. So it seems you're putting small quantities of the wet clay down at a time and then evening it out.
Yes.
And how are you getting it so even?
I'm mostly eyeballing it and using my hand to feel the level of it. So I can see that it's all relatively the same height. It's obviously not going to be exactly the same height because, well, it's eyeballing it. I don't have a measurement right out here right now. But it seems to work well enough. It worked really well the first time we did it until it dried out. So I figured, why not? Second time, I want to do it the same way.
So this is the same one we saw last video, and it's been over a week now, but yet the clay, as you can see, is still fairly soft. So the paper towels and trash bag, it definitely does work.
Absolutely. Thank you to the ladies who decided to tell me about this. And on the Mer Network, if you're not belonging to the Mer Network, go on to mermaid.com. Great website on how-tos and a lot of connections with mermaids and the community. So go on to mermaid.com and look them up. But there were some ladies on there who suggested to me to use paper towels that were wet and moist, along with some trash bags, and that should keep the moisture in, and it did. It worked great. It was actually pretty moist, stayed nice, and there was no cracking and no drying out, so I'm really happy with how it turned out so far.
Alright, let's say someone wanted to build a tail, but they didn't want to go with this approach. What would you suggest for them if they were still using a wet clay? How would you, as another way you would lay out a tail like this?
Well, I'd say if you didn't want to lay it out like frame first, do painting first kind of a thing, and you could, that's what I thought about originally doing, was to lay out all the clay, roll it out, put your pattern down, cut it out, that way you have your base, and then you could create our frame, which is the side parts of our fluke, along with our foot pocket, and you can smooth it in that way. But I figured it worked the first time, so we're going to go with it again, so that's why we're doing it this way.
Well, I can see advantages of doing it this way too. With this, you get more of a uniform smoothness about it here, and you won't have to resculpt as much in connecting it from this point here to here, whereas if you laid this out first, you'd then have to try to fight this back into it somehow.
We would have to do the reverse. We would have to mold this portion a little more to where it kind of slopes into itself. Both ways would work pretty well. It just depends upon whether or not you want this part really smooth, which you can still achieve, or if you really, really want a uniform size and shape and everything on the bottom here, which I figure I'm covering up with a texture anyway, so there's really no need to be super precise on whether or not it's flat. It's all going to be textured. But if you were doing something that was really flat and just had a couple of ridges in it, you might think about doing it the other way, where you roll it out and then cut it out. It might be better that way.
Alright. Any other advice for people when they're reaching this stage that you can think of?
You're almost there, so keep working on it, but patience, don't rush it too much. Enjoy the process.
Alright, well, I'll leave you, go back to your work.